buildings in the media center. As usual, the Honorable Minister of Information and Chief Government Spokesperson will deliver a statement, and thereafter will allow for questions and points of clarification and any other question that the media may have. For now, it's my honor and privilege to invite the Honorable Minister to deliver his statement.
Thank you very much, Director of Programs. And let me begin by engaging the citizenry because we are live on various platforms. Countrymen and women and the youth of our country, good afternoon. Today's media engagement seeks to share with the nation cabinet resolutions arising out of cabinet of Monday, 8th December 2025, which is yesterday, and also some reflections on the current national debate relating to proposed constitutional amendment via the National Assembly Constitutional Amendment Bill number 7 of 2025. So let me begin by bringing to the attention of the nation that the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, called the 24th Cabinet meeting of the year 2025 on Monday, 8th December 2025 at State House to deliberate on policy and legislative matters aimed at enhancing national development. Cabinet made the following decisions. 1. Revised cash for work program for vulnerable Zambians to be reintroduced. Cabinet approved the revised cash for work program in order to provide temporary employment opportunities so as to stimulate economic activity at local community levels. Cabinet has indicated that due to change in programming focus and observed implementation challenges, the Cash for Work program has been revised to address shortcomings related to the targeted safeguards payments and disbursement system and grievance redress management. Government is implementing the Cash for Work program to provide temporary employment to the citizens, especially the vulnerable of our society who are not on any cash transfer programs in exchange for cash wages. This is an effort to stimulate economic activity, to overall economic activity in all the districts of our country at local community level and contribute to overall poverty reduction and reduce vulnerability, especially in urban areas and peri-urban and rural areas. The nation, through you, dear colleagues in media, should note that the revised cash for work will now be applied countrywide to all the 116 districts of our country, unlike the way it initially was formatted to target, I think, about 84 districts those that were severely disadvantaged by the drought of 2023-2024. The revised Cash for Work program will empower vulnerable people willing to work in exchange for labor. Government undertakes public works which are expected to promote skills development, public health, and mitigate disease outbreaks such as cholera by clearing drainages, improving community assets such as rural bridges, and enhancing environmental conservation, natural resource management for enhanced climate resilience, and resource management for enhanced climatic resilience and adaptation. At the same time, community assets such as deep tanks, roads, storage facilities, and dams under the revised Cash for Work program contributes to increased productivity of targeted communities. The program is intended, like I've indicated, to reduce poverty levels, especially for the vulnerable of our community. And having learned from the teething challenges of its implementation, this fresh rollout of this program is expected to be better focused to achieve the intended goals of government. Government was cognizant of the fact that the Cash for Work program came in very handy to respond to the issue of food deficits by creating an opportunity for our people to earn an income which they used to purchase maize and or meal during the disaster and national emergency year, which, by way of reminder, at law is still subsisting because as a country we have not yet fully recovered from the effects of that drought, as evidenced by the plaguing electricity deficit situation, which we refer to as load shedding in the country. President Hakainde is not sparing any effort whatsoever with his administration to deal with the issue of electricity or power deficit in the country, so that the country, its economy, its business, and its people can be brought back to normalcy. And at every interval, government shall seek to update the nation on the progress on that particular important issue that citizens are concerned about. So the rest of the resolutions are contained in this document, which I'll share with yourselves, dear colleagues from the media, so that you are able to craft your stories from there. Let me now come to the national issue, the question to do with proposed constitutional amendments. I wish to take this opportunity to update the nation that the select committee sitting here at Parliament, receiving submissions from stakeholders and citizens, is making steady progress, with a number of stakeholders and citizens having appeared before the committee to make their submissions. I wish to indicate that key amongst those stakeholder interest groups that this far have made submissions before the technical committee, before the select committee of Parliament, is the technical committee which was set up by His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, responding to some concerns of some quarters of our society that Bill number 7 needed more inclusivity of participation and consultations with the citizens of our country. I wish to indicate here that government is of the view that Bill number 7 will be well informed by views that reflect the aspirations and desires of the citizens of this country. Let me remind the citizens that most of the content of Bill number 7, such as to remove the term limit for a mayor and or a council chairperson, return of a member of parliament to go and sit in councils, amending Article 256, amending Article 52(6) to do with a fresh nomination during subsistence of an election, amending Article 103 some of those issues which were contained in Bill number 10 as are contained now in Bill number 7. The point here I'm making is that Bill number 7 contains issues that were already consulted upon by and large through the processes of consultations of 2019 through Bill number 10. And that is why the issues that have found expression and breadth from Bill number 7, from Bill number 10 into Bill number 7, are those that the citizens were overall agreed upon that they needed to be amended. So that was one layer of consultation, 2019. The second layer of consultation was the one performed by members of parliament here at parliament, at the amphitheatre, with all the members of parliament, regardless of political party affiliation. Number 3, the consultations that took place after Bill number 7 was deferred to pave way for more consultations and informing of the contents of Bill number 7. 34 civil society groups and organizations and church organizations had a round-table dialogue meeting with the President of the Republic of Zambia, President Hakainde Hichilema, in September of 2025 over the concerns that had led to the deferment of Bill number 7. And on the 30th of November 2025, the Oasis Forum and its membership had another dialogue meeting with the President and his administration over contents of Bill 7 and way forward. On 1st December 2025, a consortium of church and civil society organizations, including the student movement, also had a roundtable dialogue consultative meeting with the President and his administration. Number 4, the technical committee's report was handed to Cabinet on 1st December 2025, whose contents have since been published and are in public domain. That undertaking was part of the process of informing the contents of Bill number 7 and its way forward. Having restored Bill number 7 on the order paper of Parliament, the Select Committee started to sit last week to hear all the citizens, those who will be represented through stakeholder interest groups, such as Law Association of Zambia, such as NGOCC, such as the church, and all other, the usual witnesses that are called when there is a ratification or a matter of national importance that requires the citizens to participate, are being given an opportunity to submit de novo, to submit afresh to Madam Speaker's Select Committee of Members of Parliament that represent all political parties and including independents, receiving submissions afresh as though there are no recommendations already or views from the previous instances that I have referred hitherto relating to the consultations around Bill number 7. I would like to indicate here that we have heard concerns from some stakeholders, such as the opposition, who now seem to admit that the contents of Bill number 7 are okay and that they are good, but that they are concerned about the process. I wish to indicate that the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia is instructive when it comes to amendment and or making a constitution. Article 76 of the Constitution gives exclusive cognizance to legislative jurisdiction of Parliament to amend the Constitution and or make a constitution through this House. Article 79 of our Constitution designates power to members of Parliament to amend the Republican Constitution. And in terms of Article 79(6), the Constitution is instructive that when it comes to amending the Bill of Rights, or Part 3 of the Republican Constitution, there is a requirement for wider consultation and participation by the citizens through a referendum, as was held in 2016 when government then sought to amend the Bill of Rights. It is that particular provision which gives in mandatory terms an obligation on government to hold a national referendum if you are amending the rights of the citizens as contained in the Bill of Rights. and it provides that 50% of citizens eligible to vote in an election should say yes to that national question. So there is an obligation to consult, not just widely, because widely can be limitless in terms of designating or delineating the extent of consultations, but that in terms of the referendum, it is instructive, 50%. The other provisions of the law, as contained in the Constitution, are mere constitutional provisions that are not enshrined and entrenched. By enshrined and entrenched is meant those provisions in the Bill of Rights cannot be amended without a referendum. So that is the difference between any other provision of the Constitution as so far it relates to how it should be amended. So the issue of the process of amending the Constitution, therefore, is rooted in the Constitution itself and is not dependent on the goodwill of government or any stakeholder. It's in the Constitution. The extent of consultation, which we are now calling as citizens wide consultation, emanates from the practice in previous constitutional amendments where there is a requirement for most citizens to participate in order to garner minimum national consensus to give the Constitution not just the legal force of law as stamped by the members of Parliament when they amend or pass a Constitution, but that it should command the force of morality of citizens that they are part and parcel of such an amendment. That is the position of law. Therefore, those caused to say the process cannot be trusted, those causes are not rooted in any substantial legislation or law known to our processes of constitutional amendment in Zambia. Zero. The question of consultation has been addressed. Therefore, the last thing I would like to address this afternoon is the issue to do with assertions out there that are getting preeminence over truth, that Bill number 10 and its contents are similar to the contents of Bill number 7, and therefore those who opposed Bill number 10 in 2021 should also oppose Bill number 7 because they are the same. And also to the extent of question to say, why is it that UPND and members of Parliament of the UPND, in 2021, you opposed Bill 10, but Bill 10 has been resurrected by Bill 7. Now you want to support. Let me remind the nation, just 10 proposals that were in this bill called Bill number 10. And I urge citizens to read so that we don't rely on propagandists misleading a national question and create a false narrative. This is a bill, Bill number 10 of 2021, which was Bill number 10 in 2019, as it is there, which was brought before the floor of the House and was negatived by Parliament. In short, it didn't go through. What were the contents of this bill? And may I clarify here that the UPND and its allies then over constitutional amendment, such as thus NGOCC and some organizations today that might hold a position different to that of the UPND, did not oppose Bill 10 in its entirety. We opposed some of the provisions in this Bill 10 that we deemed inimical to national interest and particularly aimed at undermining the democracy of our country, particularly targeting the opposition. Here are some of them, so that those who say Bill 10 is synonymous to Bill 7 should stop that argument, because it doesn't hold water. 1. Bill number 10 of 2021 sought to amend Article 169(4) so that chiefs, in running the affairs of the House of Chiefs, should have an open vote in choosing the chairperson of the House of Chiefs, amending it from the current provision which gives that House the chairmanship of the House to rotate from one province to another, with chiefs from that particular province choosing who they are fronting as the chairperson of the House of Chiefs, thereby maintaining national unity, so that you don't have a province with more chiefs always, having a candidate, or a region of this country having a candidate or candidates and supporting on those particular scores, so that the chairmanship of the House of Chiefs may actually end up rotating in one region or one province. This is what Bill number 10 contained. And we said we can't have chiefs begin to have elections as if they're asking for political office. Then they're guardians of national unity and peace. So the chairmanship must rotate from one province to another. 2, they wanted to amend, as contained in Bill number 10, Article 62(3), in terms of removing the authority of this Parliament, the National Assembly, from ratifying the loans that government should contract on behalf of the people of Zambia, that the executive will thus sit alone, and once they decide as cabinet, that's fait accompli. That's it. And we said we are not supporting Bill 10 because of such a proposal, because we then at that time, we were arguing, like we argue today, that Parliament needs to have a say when the executive seek to contract a loan on behalf of the people of Zambia, because the parliamentarians are an epitome of the representation of the citizens of this country across the nation. They wanted that power to be taken away and to reside only in the hands of a few in the executive. Number 3, they wanted to amend Article 149 of the current Constitution, which gives Parliament power to ratify the creation of provinces or review of provincial boundaries, that the President should just have that executive authority allowed to create provinces without Parliament having a say. This is your Bill number 10 that you are saying is similar to Bill 7. 4, they wanted to amend Article 101 of the current Constitution, that after an election, presidential election, there should be no second ballot if there is no clear winner by way of a 50% plus one vote. That instead of going for a rerun so that you have a clear winner who should command the majority vote so that you promote security of tenure of a president, they had proposed in Bill 10 that there should be a coalition government where now politicians sit amongst themselves to agree who becomes the president and share positions in government. And our contention was that formation of a government is a preserve of the sovereignty of a country, the citizens. This is Bill 10. Number 5, amend Article 120, sub-Article 3(6) to abolish the Industrial Relations Court, so that when you have labor disputes, you go and join a long queue of courts that are already clogged with so many cases which are not disposed of on time. We rejected Bill number 10 because we say the Industrial Relations Court is a specialized court to deal with labor matters wherein parties, particularly workers with grievances, should have a court that must be able to dispose of their matters faster. Bill number 10. 5, 6, amend Article 252 of the current Constitution that the Auditor General's security of tenure should be tempered with, and that the Auditor General should just be given one term to serve as Auditor General, and such a term should be by way of 7 years. We said no. This security of tenure contained in the current Constitution, this one, in terms of Article 252, presently, gives guarantee that the Auditor General cannot be worried about their work when they go about to perform that very important job. They wanted to temper with that security of tenure using Bill 10, and we said no. 7, amend Article 266 of this Constitution of the Republic of Zambia to introduce what is called in Bill number 10, a candidate who is legally disqualified. And the provision in Bill number 10 was worded in terms with the import or meaning that if a court of law or a quasi-judicial tribunal, such as the Lands Tribunal, for instance, or any other such quasi-judicial tribunal, which is not a competent court in material terms, determine you that you are legally disqualified to stand as president, then you are not allowed to contest those elections. And remember that at that time, there were a lot of issues playing around in the country, such as issues to do with land. President HH, leader of the UPND, bought such a farm. And if the Lands Tribunal ruled that HH is a legally disqualified person to contest in 2021 general elections, he would not contest because that is what the Constitution then would say through Bill number 10. Is bill number 10 the same as bill number 7? Fundamentally different. And we saw this. And we agreed. And we said, no, this is targeting the opposition. Because then they had already proved themselves that they are able to lump you with a charge, even when you have done nothing, such as charging President HH with treason, when he didn't commit any treason. So we knew that if Bill 10 goes through, straight, HH will not be a candidate. Amend Article 101 of the Constitution, which talks about a president who is an incumbent president, that if they suffer from incapacity to discharge their mandate as President of the Republic of Zambia, there is a requirement for them to vacate office. For instance, if they suffer from mental infirmity or they become non-corpus mentis, as it is called at law, then they should be removed. Or if their health can't allow them to discharge, their mandate, they should be removed. That is a provision in this current constitution. They wanted that particular provision through Bill 10 should be deleted altogether. And our argument was that what if you have a president whose health or mental state can no longer sustain him to work as president? Why should he remain in office? That's why we oppose Bill 10. Number 9, amend Article 103 of the Constitution. Article 103 of the Constitution. Some of these things, when we are dealing with a nation, we need to be honest, not to mislead people at all. Article 103, election petition, to clarify that if there is an election petition, the court shall hear and determine such a matter within a specified number of days. I think it was proposed 30 days. Now, here was the absurdity which we rejected in bill number 10. And I'll read this, and I'll have you call it. Get bill 10 and read. Bill number 10, in terms of their proposed amendment to Article 103, in terms of their proposal of Article 103, Subarticle 3C, provided as follows. I'll read it. The Constitutional Court may, after hearing an election petition, A, declare the election of the President-elect valid, B, nullify the election of the President-elect, C, disqualify the President-elect from being a candidate in the second ballot. So now, D, grant any other relief the court may consider that. Now, we were saying, no, this is bad law being proposed by Bill 10. They know that in the forthcoming elections of 2021, they knew the opposition might lead and to ensure that they never form government, cause an election petition, and through the power which they were conferring on the concourse, disqualify the president-elect, so that if there is a second ballot, such a president is not a candidate. What type of law is that? And we knew that this is targeting President HH, then as leader of the opposition. And to buttress that point, they still carried that spirit that in August 2021, once they had received intelligence reports that President HH was carrying the day he was leading, I think it is Chris Zumani, then as press aide to President Edgar Lungu, wrote, you all remember, to the Electoral Commission, to the effect of requesting the Electoral Commission to stop counting the votes and alleging that in what they termed the stronghold of the UPNG, that there was untold violence such that PF agents were beaten in all the polling stations, so this election must be nullified. You recall that? They wrote as a State House to the ECZ to nullify 2021 elections, because that is the spirit which they had wanted to legalize through Bill 10. And so if Bill 10 had gone through, today we would not have had a president called President HH. Today we would not have had free education. Today the meal allowances would not be there the way they have been retained. Because, and the last one, they had proposed to amend Article 189 of the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia, which provides that public service workers or civil servants retire from the civil service, they remain on the payroll until government pays them their terminal benefit, so that the workers' interests are safeguarded. They said, no, we need to amend this because government has no money to maintain retired civil servants on the payroll. They preferred that retired civil servants should go and start wallowing in poverty and suffer, and many of them to die even before they could ever see their terminal benefits, because you recall then that civil servants would remain crying for their terminal benefits even for 10 years or 20 years, and they would not be paid. And we said, you know, it is government's duty to find the money to clear off civil servants who are on the payroll who have retired, because it is you, government, who is voting on to their final benefit. Why do you want to make civil servants destitute after they have invested so many years into the public service, serving in their own country? Article 189. We opposed, we said no. And that is why you have seen that today, that length of period of waiting for civil servants to be cleared has been reduced. And as we speak, all those who are outstanding to be cleared as civil servants who are retired and not paid as of 2021, President HH has cleared them. Lastly, they had proposed to infuse an article called Article 117 and Article 117A to reintroduce deputy ministers whom the citizens of this country had rejected, because there was reasoning that a deputy minister's role is not defined. Even where a substantive cabinet minister is out of jurisdiction, a deputy minister will not act. So what is their role, other than simply making it expensive for the taxpayer to run these offices when their mandate is not adding value to the citizens. We said no to deputy ministers. We said they are trying to dangle a carrot to opposition MPs so that, because you know that there is this vacancy for deputy minister, you should vote for B10 so that maybe you become a deputy minister. And remember that prior to that, the previous government had appointed 73 ministers and deputy ministers. And if you multiply 73 ministers and deputy ministers with an average of 3 motor vehicles, that is just average, 3 motor vehicles. How many motor vehicles were you talking about every day being driven around, consuming fuel and taxpayers' money, but running their affairs with just one office? We said no to reintroduction of deputy ministers. And you recall very well, in one of the submissions against deputy ministers, the late former George Mpombo actually told the nation that under PF as government in office then, there were too many deputy ministers that if you throw a stone in Kamala, the chances are that it will land on the head of a deputy minister. So citizens said, no, away with deputy ministers. So, dear citizens and dear colleagues, the media, Bill number 10 is fundamentally at variance with Bill number 7. Bill number 7 carries the spirit of non-controversial matters. Those that were contained here are not controversial. That's why they have found breath in the new bill. And I wish to reiterate here that in receiving the report of the technical committee, Mshabati Technical Committee, and their late draft bill, Cabinet made considerations and concessions to the provisions of Bill number 7 that will be adulterated or, simply put, amended via the Select Committee if they consider it fit to go with many of the provisions or proposals as contained in the report of the Mshabati Committee and their attendant late draft bill. A lot of concessions were made to remove those proposals that were deemed to introduce an element of uncertainty or controversy. And the whole codified position of government will be given this Friday by the Minister of Justice through the Select Committee as views of the executive, just like views of the Technical Committee, just like views of Law Association of Zambia, just like views of NGOCC, but this time representing the executive arm of government as resolved by Cabinet. This is what we had for you, dear colleagues, the media, and through you, the nation. I must thank the MP for Mangu Central, Honorable Amtiki, who joined because he said he is so passionate that Bill number 7 should go because he wants to see more women come to Parliament. He wants to see more youth come to Parliament, more differently able to come to Parliament. Unlike now, where out of elected 156 members of parliament, only 17 are women. But in terms of population, they are the majority. In terms of voting, they are the majority. And just one youth. And remember, we are signatory to the SADC protocol on gender representation. Even our own constitution, in terms of Article 259 and 173, do recognize the reality that we need more women. Bill number 7 is the avenue for more women, for more youth, for more differently abled, through legislative affirmative action. I thank you for your kind listenership.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Colleagues, in the interest of time, we'll take very, very few questions, if at all there are any questions or points of clarification. Yes, please.
Good afternoon, Honourable.
Good afternoon, thank you.
My name is Mangela. I'm a journalist for Zambia 24. There is a distrust between government and some interested groups in regard to the decision-making process. And the provision will require that if there is a dispute on a matter of great importance, you first settle the dispute before you proceed with that. But government has gone ahead and provide the viable guidance on how to proceed, but the dispute is not yet addressed.
Which law is that? Which law is that?
For example, in labor, if the certain people are not able to agree.
Labor?
Yes.
This is constitutional amendment.
We are heading to that direction, but it's the state itself. We are supposed to resolve the dispute. Now the ones is Forum and other people are saying.
Okay, I think that for want of time, let me address my mind to what the law provides. So that is an extended application of the labor, I think, industrial and labor related laws that require resolution of issues before you proceed with the substantive material issue. In terms of constitutional amendment, there is nowhere in this constitution, because that's what's important. There is nowhere in this constitution where you are supposed to set aside the issue and go to resolve that dispute. There is no dispute actually. There is just disagreement on certain issues because, like you have seen before, when we have had occasion as a country to amend our constitution, I don't recall the time when there was unanimity, because otherwise democracy provides divergent views. And the views of the citizens are finding expression through the select committee. And anybody who wants to allege that they were not heard, we need more inclusion, more consultation. The select committee is sitting, and Madam Speaker has provided that anyone, an organization or citizen, you are at liberty to come and make submissions. So we think that this issue will be resolved smoothly, and we look forward that when it comes to the floor of the House, we shall pass Bill number 7 on the basis of consensus.